Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collected podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP, episode 619. We are live tonight. Where's Anna at? Oh, there's Anna. Anna, you're the only one on the screen now.
I'm here. I've been here.
Yeah,
she's the most popular one.
That is true. Now Christian's the only one.
Oh, I'm like the third most popular one.
Maybe. Oh, there we go. I think we're getting it. We're getting it. Maybe. Maybe. Ah, there we go. All right. Welcome to TFYLP, episode 619. We are live tonight. It is Tuesday, April 29th. Lucas, joined tonight by Christian.
What up?
And Anna.
Hello.
And Phil. Oh, there you go. Fifth Christian. Zaldron says you're the fifth?
I'm fifth. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm assuming I'm number 8.
Are there 5 of us?
Right? You know.
Yeah, Zaldron, please provide the definitive rankings. That would be great.
There you go.
Oh, I don't want rankings.
Well, do we just do like relatively current cast members that have been on the show, you know, within the last like 6 months?
That's what I was going off of.
Decade?
Cause like, you know, if you go further back, right, you know, I mean, obviously Headmaster Don, right? He has got to be number 1.
But the Discord crew is just going to mark me and Sideburn as first because we're the ones who talk on Discord.
Hey, you know what? I get on Discord every
He's
once in
on
a
like
while.
once a year.
I've been on there more frequently, so.
I lurked there today, actually.
So there you go.
Pop in to be like, are she equip? And then you leave forever.
I pop in when I get summoned from the depths. That's what happens.
No, Lucas is the one who pops in for the quip.
Every once in a while. So I'll just see, you know, a notification on my phone. I'll be at work in between like doing 2 things, and there we go. So
today we're going to talk about what's the scariest Transformer you own.
Right?
Talking about this Optimus Prime, right?
Might as well. The thing that we're actually talking about is not named Optimus Prime. All you losers just don't call him the right thing.
Yeah, I guess
Convoy.
Zaldron says that he should be called Godfire Convoy and not Omega Prime. So, sure.
This is America, where we do this podcast from, so we're using American names.
And, you know, it's
Anna's
on
too
the
much of a
box.
weeb to do that.
This is a property that we stole from the Japan, like thieves,
Did
and
we?
we gave
Really
them
true.
worse names. No, we imported it properly to the proper channel.
I mean,
What?
I don't know. Technically, we imported robots, like the Transformers IP. I don't know.
No, I'm saying specifically car robots because it was a Japanese series first, and we translated it. So here's my thing: like, it's not really like a weeb thing or like purity thing or anything else. It's that naming him Fire Convoy makes it not confusing because that is a different name than Optimus Prime. We have Optimus Prime again, but he's not Optimus Prime. He's a different guy, also named Optimus Prime. It's confusing, right? Like, naming him Fire Convoy, you don't get that confused. You don't say, oh, which Fire Convoy are you talking about? The one from Car Robots. There are no other Fire Convoys. That's it. You're good, right?
So I'm going to ask a very filthy casual question here. What is his name when he's not combined?
Fire
Fire
Convoy.
Convoy.
And he's Godfire Convoy when he is combined.
with God
combined
Magnus.
with what?
It's Ultra Magnus.
He
God Fire
combines with the
Convoy.
rest of his truck. He's
That's Super
Fire
Convoy.
Convoy.
Okay.
Casual.
And
Obviously.
then what is Ultra Magnus just Ultra Magnus?
God.
Magnus.
Okay, God Magnus.
Also distinct, right? Having a different name makes him distinct.
I thought you said makes him deceased, and I'm like, is that why he's a
That's
god?
what I heard
He's
too.
dead? Yeah.
I don't think
He-
that
he's
happened.
not the Magnus that dies. Regular Magnus is the Magnus that dies.
I mean, they all die at some point, right?
I mean, you can confuse Fire Convoy and Flame Convoy.
Yeah.
You could.
So
But not
Right.
Live Convoy. Who's Live Convoy, everyone?
Is that like the touring bus for the band Live?
No. Live Convoy,
Yeah.
Nitro Convoy, Megalo Convoy, and Flame Convoy. Who are those people?
I just said I'm a casual, Christian. Why are you trying to emphasize that even more?
Those are some of
Because
the
Anna loves
Cybertron
convoys.
characters.
There you go. Anna knows who they are.
If it's a convoy.
So
I just don't
Christian,
know about Prime.
just to let you know, Zaldrin says the rankings are Phil number 1, Paul number 2, Peter number 3, Anna number 4. So Christian 5.
Wow.
I'm number 6. Now I'm surprised Zaldrin doesn't have Rick in there. And with him, what about Rob? I mean, again, they've been on the last 6 months at least.
So how are you less popular than I am?
How am I the most popular one? Or is that just like most wanted by the FBI? Because that could pertain for me being number 1.
Well,
Maybe that's
is
Rick
this
is how
best
much
or
you, like,
popular?
actually show up and talk.
Two different things.
Well,
So
Show up the most and talk. Like somehow you're more than Lucas. It's really
like it's
impressive.
the best. It's like a two-way tie between Roxy and Henry, and then it's Lilith and Garrus.
yeah,
Then like everyone else of us is
It's
like
just the
it's
past.
like
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
tier way
Animals
down.
are-
So
way down.
yeah. So anyway,
Okay, look, it's Optimus.
Ooh.
Fire Convoy.
It's Super Fire Convoy.
It
Actually,
is Super
Anna.
Fire Convoy right now.
Oh, sick bird!
I did jiggle wiggle for like a billion hours and make myself want to cry and finally get him into this mode. So I feel like I did something. I'm like panicked after doing it, but
okay. Question, because I don't have mine. Like I don't have a copy. Like it
Casual.
has not been shipped to me yet. Apparently, like I don't know what's going on. Everyone else has gotten theirs, and mine has not even like started shipping yet. So,
so there is
What's
a
your
very
question?
widely talked about QC issue with this figure where at least some people are doing it in different ways. Christian fixed his just by loosening 2 screws. At least 2 screws in the torso of this fella are too
Shout out to
tight
Swift for that solution.
and will potentially cause cracking in the front of his torso when you
That
push him
silver
together.
painted part.
Yes, and that nice clean silver. Mine is not cracked. I was entirely too careful, and I can't unscrew this stupid thing. But anyway, so basically, and you can chance it and just transform it out of the box, and maybe you'll be lucky. I've seen a few people say they haven't had any problems with theirs, but I've seen quite a few people get like the same cracks that just go down the side here. They go straight down after you transform it just because that one part is too tight. And that is a bummer because that will be visible on your figure, right? Like you're going to be able to see that. Like you're not going to be able to see it from a distance. It's probably not going to crack all the way up and destroy the figure or cross my fingers and predict the future. But yeah, it's a bummer. Like that's a real bummer QC issue for a Haslab. And not so much because of the price, but because of the limited nature of a Haslab.
Yeah, apparently they have some replacements coming in June. That might be the next shipment. Group Lucas and also other Christian. That's me. I bought 2 just at separate times. This is the first one. Second one's coming. I don't know if that's replacement parts or if that's replacement whole figures. the reply from customer service I saw today was kind of vague about that. They're like, talk to us then. I don't think this is just a case of people being ham-handed, which I always am quick to say, don't be ham-handed with your figures, and don't do that. But something here is not designed quite right, or is not built properly. Something is odd.
Yeah, and I was a little too harsh when I said that too, because some people, like our own Sideburn / Michael, his was already cracked.
Cracked out of the box, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
So he didn't even have to transform his. His
Oh.
just already had the crack down it. So he was like, yeah, might as well transform it. So,
Yeah, his theory was that it resulted when they extended the whole thing for the truck mode that it ships in. Something along that slider is just not quite right. There's a slider inside. I've got to figure out how to disassemble it.
yeah, and there's people have made videos and little tutorials. I think a friend of ours has mentioned making a video himself, but people have made like little videos and picture spreads to say what you're supposed to do to take it all the way apart and sand down the part that you would need to sand down in order to actually fix it. It's kind of like, what do you want to do to mod your figure?
Mm-hmm.
Mod your, limited edition, only so many made of this multi-$100 figure pack in order to get it to be more stable.
Yeah. I think we'll know more in the coming days and weeks, but right now it's kind of just be careful.
Yeah.
Take some precautions.
And the bummer is the truck mode is actually quite good.
Real good.
Like if it wasn't like this, I would probably transform mine right now and just be like, look, everyone, it's the truck mode, because I'd want to show it off because it is really nice looking. It's not particularly any nicer or less nice than the original, but it's nice looking. Like the original was nice looking. This one is nice looking.
I pulled it out of the shipper and I was like, oh, it's the original toy, which is what I thought when I looked at it in the pictures too. But of course, that figure is now, 25 years old?
Oh, and that's definitely, like, even with the problems I'm having with it, where I'm very frustrated at the moment, by the way. Like, if you can't tell from the crazy change in how I'm speaking, because I know how frustrated I get and how easy it is to tell. I am very frustrated with this figure at the moment because I just wanted to play with it out of the box. That was it, I just wanted to play with it. But even from the little bit I've got to mess with it, it feels so much more stable in my hands than the original does at this point. Mine is, from its original release, so it is quite worn down. I played with it a lot. It's yellowed, it's beat up, it's, not a pretty looking thing anymore. But this just feels nice and sturdy and stable and modern in every way, nice ankles that you can play with and wrists that you can play with, and
that is nice.
Things like that, just the modern niceties. He does have the huge hips now that are kind of new, but I imagine these wildly huge hips will probably look better in Super Fire Convoy mode. Yeah, those look nice and proportionate. They look good. Because they're huge. He's really big hips now.
Big hips.
Big muscular hips. But they don't look so much like weird. They look just kind of really crazy muscular. Like he never skips leg day.
He does not.
He is leg day.
He's got thick thighs. They save lives. He has a fire truck.
He does save lives. It's true.
I always use instructions with my figures, right? I just do. But these looked so familiar to me that I took them out and started transforming them like I did the original ones, and I could mostly get there. It was pretty close. I guess that's what happens when you remake a modern figure. I guess a post G1 figure that's not brickish. It does have more articulation, but that's the main improvement. Otherwise, it sort of transforms kind of the same. It's got a couple more tabs. The shoulder pads and the hands go together slightly differently, but pretty similarly. I don't know. It was fun to be like, oh, I know this, but it's also new.
Yeah, I think
I don't quite have this part right yet. I don't know how to engage. It's like some sort of lock that keeps it from collapsing under the weight, and I don't quite know how to engage it really.
I was really excited to play with that, and then I didn't get that far because I was having trouble with the stupid part.
Magnus was also a bit more challenging. His
Zaldron
backpack looks
says
like
that he used the new instructions to transform his original toy. So.
Explain to me how that worked, but
I don't know.
That sounds neat.
That's funny.
Here's Magnus.
Zaldron, you're going to have to do a service to us all and put some comparison pics up because I wanted to, but with me still being half packed for my last move, I could not find my original toy.
Why do these red things not have little gap fillers?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But that wouldn't match the original, yo.
I don't need it to match the original. I need it to surpass the original.
Okay. Right. And I think this one gets a little too close to not surpassing the original. It does surpass the original. But it flirts with not surpassing the original.
It's close.
Yeah.
It's real close.
It's a little closer than it needs to be, honestly.
I agree with
that. I have mine. I took it out of the shipping box yesterday, so I have it still in its Hasbro pretty box. I'm a little anxious about the QC issues, so I'm waiting to see if Hasbro sends out replacement parts or something, whatever. But like Anna, from seeing yours, the inner Optimus Prime bot, like that does look worse to me.
See, that's the thing. I need to do the comparison because when I actually played with my inner Fire Convoy robot a year ago, because when the Kickstarter started, I went downstairs, I got my Fire Convoy, I got my God Magnus, I started playing with them. All their tires fell off because they had all rotted to death, and I looked at their yellowing, and it was so great. And I played with the inner Convoy, and I was like, this actually is not as good as I remember it being. Because I remember that inner Convoy being kind of the fun part. Like, that was just a fun part to play with. And he wasn't as fun as he used to be, and he didn't look as good as he used to. So I feel like if I had the original in my left hand right now, I could be like, look, Phil, it actually does look a little bit better than the original. But my memory of the original toy, like the child memory, not really child, but teenager memory of the original toy is definitely better, right? Like when I try to think like what it felt like back then, it was better. But I think this is actually better.
The old one had the backpack for the sound chip and the speaker, so that was hefty. But the head and the chest, I really loved. I thought that was that was like the first time we got a sort of stylized G1 Optimus as an action figure. Because there had been like so many different takes on the G1 Optimus throughout, a lot of the different, Japanese artists doing different stylizations, even going back to the commercials, like the Action Master commercial, Optimus Prime being more stylized there. And this one, here we got a stylized kind of G1 looking bot, and I thought it was so neat. And this one just looks dopey to me.
The chest redesign is not my favorite piece on this new figure, but I can see why I did it, and I'm happy to have fewer vacuum metallized parts that plug into things.
Yeah, me too.
The original one, you kill the vac metal every time you combine it.
Yeah.
So don't do that. This one does have some vac metal.
It does. An amount that makes me a little nervous, but I'm trying not to be nervous about it.
Oh, a little bit here too.
I'm trying to tell myself it's probably better lasting than it used to be.
I think so. But yeah, Phil, I don't think I agree with you, but I can definitely see the differences, and I think I can see where you're going. But the head for me, the small robot head for Optimus is pretty spot on from what I can tell.
I think it's spot on, but I think it's also different.
That can't be true.
That's contradictory.
No, I mean, I think it's spot on. Sorry, I think it's spot on to the animation. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh.
I think it's closer to the animation than the original. Like, I think this is certainly, I'm not done with him, but his head's out. I think this face is certainly closer to how he looked in the
Yes.
animation most of the time than the original toy. I love the original toy's face. I just really like, it's a lot closer to God Bomber. Which really, even though he's named after both God Bomber and Ultra Magnus, he's more of a God Bomber homage than he is an Ultra Magnus homage. Like, he's both. He's their baby.
Pre both, yeah.
Yeah, he's an armorer for a convoy that is also a semi truck, or is also a car carrier truck. So it's like it's got its Magnus parts, and yeah. It's so car carrier that it is in fact a car carrier.
I think, as with the original set, Magnus is kind of the weakest link because he's got to do the thing. This one does it a little bit better. Here's the back of the legs. You're all kind of hoping would be filled out a little bit more. They're not. But they do have knees, and he does have ankles now. He does have heels, so he can actually like stand up.
Yeah, that's good. I'm still trying to figure out my heels right now.
Oh, they're weird. You gotta like wiggle them, and then they extend really far and go down, and then they go back in.
Okay.
They're sliders, and I don't like sliders. Like, this is why we developed Combiner Wars joints back in Combiner Wars times, so we didn't have to have friction sliders.
I see how it works.
You know, Optimus's chest thing. Just open that up and Combiner Wars it down. That'd be great. Same thing with Magnus's feet.
Maybe that's the actual thing I should be complaining about, is that they kept the slider mechanism, which I do agree that when I was playing with it, I was like, why does this still have a slider mechanism? A little bit, even though I already knew about the breakage issue, so I was more worried about that. But you're right. I think the real problem is that they kept the slider, and then they didn't do it very well.
Yeah, we're past that as far as technology goes. So they've gotten rid of everything friction. Even ball joints have been replaced with universals in most cases because those wear down. This will wear down.
It will. And that sucks.
Not quickly, I don't think. I think it'll be fine for as much as most of us will be transforming these things. But like, there's a reason we don't have friction joints anymore.
Yeah, you're making a lot of good points.
They probably assume, they're like, how many Annas could there be out there that are just gonna like transform their figures back and forth.
I think the big issue here, and I'm loath to say it because these people are artists from a certain standpoint, but they got the original designer from the original set of these 25 years ago to help with this one. And it's like, yeah, it's okay, update this design with articulation and modern sensibilities here. I think that's probably a mistake, because if you re-engineer it with modern engineering principles as opposed to just modern aesthetic principles, then I think you end up with a better product.
You probably would, yes.
That's actually not a bad topic in general, I feel like, for the show, because I feel like they're kind of harkening back on, in some cases, to just kind of slightly updating the original instead of trying to re-engineer things. Like, I feel like Devastator is kind of similar. Maybe I'm completely crazy. At least a combination of it, to where some of the stuff you're like, man, I wish they would have tried something that was more interesting.
Yes. And I know what you're talking about with Devastator, because Anna really harped on it when the first combined pictures came out. He's got that hole behind the chest place. Right. Like, that only does that because the original toy did that.
Right.
Why aren't you doing something else?
Right.
I mean, I think it doesn't have to do that.
I think some of the, obviously the individual bots are a little bit different with it. But then just the combiner, I think they took a lot of the cues from the original. And, kind of the same thing with this too, where you're like, yeah, I completely agree with you that it's like, I don't need a slightly updated old toy. And it's like they kind of almost have to do it more for the G1 stuff, because like G1 was such crap. Like, right, I mean, whatever. It was, the 40 years old instead of 25 years old. They just made a lot of improvements in those 15 years. And
Yes.
so, yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of an issue across the board, that it's like really hard to update these newer figures and make it that it's like a satisfying experience. Post G1.
Yeah, I think Beast
anything
Wars.
post G1.
I think Beast Wars gets to skate in because those original toys were so inaccurate to how they appeared in animation.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
they get a pass that way because they all look better.
Right.
But then you get to this era, and besides, Sideburn and Toe Line using, being just remolds or repaints of something else. We had that Skybite that was kind of weird. We're having a newer Skybite that looks less weird. We got these guys. I think you're right that it's just. I would have taken another pass. I mean, you look at the Cybertron guys or the Armada guys. I think the Armada guys are good because now they have articulation. I think that was important, but they're missing their most important parts. We've talked about that a lot.
Right.
Cybertron, I'm a Cybertron guy, but a lot of those are kind of. I think they've all been repaints or remolds except for Metroplex and Override. Oh, and Hotshot and Starscream. Never mind, I'm wrong. It's just kind of like with these that we're talking about now. They're not huge improvements over the originals. Yeah, they're updated, they're modern. They've got modern engineering and aesthetics, and I think this one just has modern aesthetics.
Yeah, I mean, here's the original RID, Inner Optimus Prime.
Ooh, there he is.
And to me, I think I feel kind of the same way as I do about this Armada Optimus
backwards.
Okay.
Sideways. Tires to the front, but yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah, there you go.
To me, it's a lot about proportions. It's a lot about proportions, and some of the newer bots not having as nice of proportions as the originals. Like, granted, the Armada Prime didn't have great proportions, but like this head has just always felt off to me. The eyes are too squinty on the new one, and like this head, the head on the new one also, again, like Annie said, it looks more like the animation, and I guess so. It gets kind of hard because I haven't seen the animation in such a long time that this head is just stylized a little differently. And again, it's a lot about proportions. Like when you look at specifically like the Haslab's crotch, like that is really wide, and this new the original one like has a much more like streamlined, torso to waist, that just I don't know, looks more like an action hero sort of figure versus the new one, the Haslab one. I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with its transformation for that, but it just doesn't.
It's got to be.
Yeah,
because here it is looking normal and
that looks great. And I would say like from everything I've seen, the inner bot is kind of the worst of the three, kind of bots. But then there are four. Then the other three, I think, look really, really darn good.
Yeah, there you go. There's your secret fifth bot. 6.
Oh,
okay. You want to talk about it? Yeah, we got a head. We got a freaking Titan Master.
Oh, holy cow! Who's head? Oh, so is that
it's Cerebros.
Cerebro. Wow, I didn't know.
I think this one is actually called what, the Emissary? Yeah. Or is it? Yeah, this is Cerebros, and the bigger one's the Emissary. Peter's gonna kill me.
I can't even remember if it has a name. So
it doesn't. They're both Cerebros in.
It's the head for Brave. It's the head for Brave Max.
It's the head for Brave Max. Yeah.
Are they Cerebros?
Yeah. They might be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the head for Brave Max. It's a really weird inclusion because it's like, thank you for including that so that we homage it, but could we do the rest of the toy? I don't know.
Do you recall that this wasn't even part of the campaign? They just it showed up like way later, and they're like, "Hey, this is here now." It's like, okay, thanks.
I was like, wait, there is a Titan Master with this. It says Titan Master, and then it was like, oh, makes sense from the series, but it doesn't make sense for a toy inclusion at all because there is no toy to go with it coming out or anything.
Is it just because they happen to be running Fort Max at a similar time, so they could do it?
So. It's like, let's imagine just in a crazy world that they released Brave Max all of a sudden. You know, they were just like, let's do Brave Max next. It would come with the head, right? Like,
So what is
it
this?
wouldn't be without that head. So it would just be redundant.
You can have that Cerebros battle the Titans Return Scorponok head.
About that, though.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Enemies now. They can go together. That's perfect. You got it down.
We got this thing.
Yeah, let's.
The whole
let's
reason Anna
talk.
bought this.
The reason I bought this.
This is the whole reason
Blue
you bought it?
bolts.
Over. I wasn't sure.
Oh, it
I
does
was
say
like,
on the box, Titan Master Cerebros.
Yeah.
I did that
It
for
does.
this. Like, is that actually its name? Who knows? But I guess once they print it, that's its name, right? Just like this is Blue Bolts instead of Blue Bolt. Like, ugh.
She's got bird head though.
I know they homage the head. I love it. They actually gave her the head that homages her other appearance, which is so cool. Like I'm so glad that they were just like, we're gonna make continuity with one of the weirdest characters that made both Anna and Christian make horrible decisions on toy buying.
Horrible.
This was from, because Blue Bolt had an appearance in the end of G1 comic that was from the Japanese comics, and it was cool. We got the translation. Christian and I both read it. We both really thought it was fun. We both bought the Ryan and the Garbage Bird.
Yeah, both of which are still for sale on my sale post. If you are interested,
nice.
please take them away from me.
Is Garbage Bird up there? Garbage Lion's up there. Garbage Bird is still packed, isn't she? Yeah, Garbage Bird is packed.
There were quite a few people excited for that Blue Bolt toy.
This one?
The bird one, the
I
KO
should have been
oversized.
excited for it, but it just didn't come out very good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it has a lot of problems just from the oversizing process. Made it very wibbly wobbly on the legs. If it didn't have wibbly wobbly legs, it would be fine because it's just a
Also
giant version. The die cast is why the legs are wibbly wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't wiggly wobbly, it would just be a giant
Aerator.
Skywarp that's blue.
Oh, Skywarp, yeah.
Because it has the Skywarp head.
Yeah.
She has the beak helmet here. They actually homaged. I just love the fact that they were like, you know, this is the same character. Give it a head to homage it. And all 7 people who actually read that comic and know that relationship are going to be really excited to have an official figure of that character.
Meanwhile, like, there's another subgroup of Transformers fans. It's like, hey, I like Transformers with baseball hats. And like, I'm not kidding. There are like, there's a like, I'm not saying there's a subset of fans. Like, there are a number of Transformers that have like the kind of brim baseball cap thing. And I've always dug that look.
No brim.
Pretend that's what this is and not a bird head.
Yeah.
It's bird head though.
It's definitely bird head.
But she's
I wish
fine from my limited experience with her so far. She got little feet there.
Feet, because they're elf shoes. Look at those elf
Yeah,
shoes
elf
with little
shoes.
curly toes.
Yep.
So funny. It's just bizarre. It's like, why does she have elf shoes? Why not? What's the reason for that shape? There isn't one. She has elf shoes.
How does
They
the
did.
plastic feel on this set?
Fine.
Good to me.
Normal.
Yeah. I mean, they're heavy.
Yeah.
Are heavy.
Yeah, this feels like a deluxe. These guys feel like, you know, leader commanders.
Yeah, they are leader commanders for sure. Yeah, they're when I took them out of the box, I was like, ooh, this is all very heavy. So it all
Yeah, it
felt
feels-
nice and weighty.
Feel like normal legacy type plastic.
The
Yeah,
box
I think-
itself was like, surprised me at like how heavy it was to pull it out of, because again, it's one of these boxes that there's like 3 boxes you have to get through to get
It
to
was
the toy.
11 pounds.
Yeah.
Into my
Wow.
FedEx tracking.
Yeah.
I
And a lot of
think,
that is the big old stands. It comes with 2 stands, which I left in the box because I don't care about stands.
Yeah.
Unless they're from JoJo. But the Transformer stands, not really.
Yeah, when I was taking this all out of the package, I had this original idea, and I really wish I would have stuck with it, that I wasn't going to bother playing with Fire Convoy because of the problems, and I was just going to go straight to God Magnus, and I was going to play with God Magnus, I was going to play with Blue Bolts, I was going to have fun with them, and if I got to it, I was going to play with Fire Convoy. And instead, I was like, you know what? Christian fixed his real easy. I'll just get Fire Convoy out. I spent the whole 2 hours that I had to mess with the figure set trying to fix the screws, which I could not get. I'm not good with screwdrivers, so I could not get a hold of it. I could not fix them, and now I'm just have my very scary Fire Convoy. But I think if I would have actually done that, I think I'm enjoying the set. Like I'm currently finishing transforming my God Magnus, and I'm enjoying it. And I think I'm gonna like it put together, because one of my biggest regrets of the original toy is God Magnus was so bad you couldn't really play with him. Like he was actually kind of terrible. Like he wasn't, because he served his purpose, right? He came apart, he made a truck, he made armor.
And you could put
the
car brothers on him in carry mode. That was cool.
Yeah, his car carrier mode was actually pretty neat, functional. It was fun. It was just that bot mode was really bad.
Not good. Yeah.
Like
he had
goofy.
Crazy,
it still looks goofy.
He was kind of like Gundam proportions, where he had like a small upper torso and like ran way worse than a Gundam is. But like if you look at a Gundam figure, it's like a fairly small torso, arms that are matching the torso, shoulders that are too big, head that kind of matches the torso, but then all the ornateness, and then the legs are for like a figure like 1 or 2 scales larger than what the rest of the body is. And Ultra Magnus sort of fits that to an extent, although he's got the big punchy hands and the girly arms. He's like Popeye. He's got like Popeye arm proportions in terms of like no upper arm and all forearm. But I don't know. I liked the original God Magnus, RID Ultra Magnus a good amount.
There's a thing about Gundams though that's important, is that they're not people, right? Gundams are battle machines that people pilot. They don't have to like go around and be persons. So their weird proportions can be perfectly fine. His weird proportions were just always off for me. Although he didn't really have the weird proportions as much in the animation. They just kind of cheated it out, and he looked pretty normal.
Wait, so if you're a robot, you have to have proper proportions, but if you're a Gundam mech suit, you don't?
Correct. This one, I think, does the proportions just a little bit better. This is much closer to the anime.
Yeah.
It cheats it kind of the same way. I'm a really big fan of how the waist and the legs attach.
Yeah, they're a lot better.
They're a lot better because they can like do this now and this.
He's exactly what I was hoping for. He is playable now. I finally got my finish. And now you can actually play with him. He's got his modern ankle tilt. He's got his wrist movement. His fingers still move like they used to. Yes, he still has this hollowness that's really dumb looking, but
I have to.
I mean, he's a giant parts former.
Yeah, he's a giant parts former. He's a giant magic mushroom guy.
Yeah.
And I think you could help me figure out how to do the backpack, that would be super.
Yeah.
I'm close.
I mean, it is.
It took me a while. That's what I was messing with like this whole time.
Because I can't get the Omega Prime head back into the front of the truck.
Never came out. We'll have to talk about that after, because my head hasn't emerged yet.
Yeah, that worked,
hasn't oozed out of there.
Yeah, he does actually have this new one. Like, actually has like a lower like torso and abdomen versus the original one was just like chest and then waist,
chest and legs.
Yeah.
He was goofy.
So real quickly, the reason I was asking about plastic is that I got this guy today. So yay!
Hey.
Very happy with this. This is freaking awesome looking. I love the colors on this. But the plastic, and maybe it's just me, and I sold my original Titans Return Trypticon. The plastic on that feels just slightly thinner than the original one did. So that's what I'm just curious is how like this big guy feels plastic wise.
It doesn't feel thinner to me. It feels like normal Legacy plastic, like Christian
Okay.
said. I don't feel anything off on it. It just feels like what I'm used to these days.
Because Deathsaurus feels like thicker than a regular Legacy toy plastic would.
Yes. This still, like, very first impressions for me, right? Like, I just finished transforming him. So this is super first impressions, but it doesn't feel crazy premium like Deathsaurus does. But it doesn't feel like a disappointment like Starsaber did. Because Starsaber really did feed into that whole conspiracy theory that he just was his Power of the Primes toy finally released. Like, he felt like an older toy. He doesn't feel like a toy from the current era when he was released. Deathsaurus feels like a premium version of a toy from when he was released. These guys feel like normal toys. They very much feel that whole, like, thing we kind of play back and forth with, do we like or not, from Haslab, where these just do feel like normal retail figures that they didn't think they could have sold otherwise.
Well, that, and it's just, kind of the same thing we talked about with Star Saber or Victory Saber, is that this one does so much than what Deathsaurus has to do in terms of all the transforming, all the combining, the multiple bots. Deathsaurus was you could spend more money on Deathsaurus with the paint and the shiny, vac metallicized chest and all that. And I was just like standing here, like holding Deathsaurus, like watching the light glint off his chest. This is so cool looking. But you could do that because his engineering is fairly simple. They had all that extra money in the budget to do that giant throne. Granted, they had money to do big stands and big swords with this guy, but still, it's you can tell that more money went to the engineering for Omega and Star Saber than it needed to for Deathsaurus.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say that. I definitely am really happy with this now that I'm holding it, just because I actually get to play with it. Like, I can't emphasize how much I was always frustrated that I couldn't really play with the original very much. Because it was just fall apart in my hands, right? I'd be like trying to pose it and trying to make it do things, because they had decent posability, and he would just fall apart. And I really understand why people are going to be a lot more judgmental of the Superfire Convoy, because that toy was really ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Like, when you got that toy back in 2000, and you brought that thing home and you were like, this is the new Transformers, you were like, wow, okay, we have leveled up heavily from Beast Machines. We're doing it now. This is amazing. Right? Like, it was just such a cool toy.
And I think that's one of the reasons why, like, Armada and a lot of the Unicron trilogy just felt like it landed like a lead weight to me, because the RID toys, car robots, felt like, holy cow, these are really nice, upgraded. You could almost see it like on the step from going from like the G1 toys to eventually to the MPs, with like the car robots, the 3 car brothers, and then alternators, and then MPs. Like, you can sort of see that progression there. And Armada totally like pumped the brakes on that sort of thing.
I'm gonna come in and make you guys feel old, and I don't mean to, but you know how you're 10 years older than me? So I was like an actual kid when these originals came out.
Yeah.
I could not transform the Optimus. I just couldn't do it.
That makes sense.
It had a lot of pieces. It had a lot of Sideburn also. Couldn't do it. It took me to turn into a teenager with better articulation in my own hands that I could come back and figure it out.
Yeah,
so having more basic Armada toys, like I remember I played with my Hotshot a lot, and it had Minicom ports. I could plug them all in, and that was easy. That's what happened, and I loved it. So again, the kid perspective versus kind of an older collector perspective at that time.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have multiple lines back then, Armada was actually like RID 15, right? Armada was actually like a more kid-friendly toy line, more kid-friendly show, suddenly released, but there wasn't a collector's line to keep us going during it. So we were all like wanting it to be our collector's line, but it was a kid-friendly line.
Mm-hmm.
Kids like Christian at the time and people his age and a little bit younger were perfectly happy with those level of figures. And they are actually solid, well-made toys, right? Just like the RID-15 toys are actually reasonably made. Some things after that, like some of the Cyberverse toys, are very poorly made. Some of the Earthspark toys are very poorly made. I don't think we've done a good job with kids' toys since RID-15.
You've made my mind go, because you're right.
Yep.
I mean, the first true collector line, I think, would be alternators, and then classics after that.
Right.
I think we've talked about that before, but I never considered that you could kind of make that backwards comparison.
Yeah, and I think
you're
we
right.
we were trying to fit a square peg in a round hole type of deal, right? Because we were like, oh, this should be our next collector's line. Because Car Robots really did feel like a collector's line, because it was the Japanese designers trying to make like the nicest action figures and the coolest cars at the same time, which went straight into alternators, which is that same philosophy.
It had molds from everything that came before, and then it continued on into Universe to do that.
The funny thing about Car Robots is just that they reuse so much. Like the new stuff was really cool, but then they were freaking bringing in eye changers and everything else that was just weird.
Yeah, there's 6 new molds in that line.
Yeah.
Optimus, Magnus, Megatron, and the Car Brothers.
And the trains.
And J-Rex.
Oh, and the trains. I went landfill. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying. Don't listen to me.
No, it was the bad guy team that didn't really get very many new molds.
No.
They just get Gigatron and that was it.
And then G1 guys.
Yeah, they did not really do much for the bad guys, but most of the good guys were new toys, aside from the Spy Changers.
Spy Changers and the Flip Changers.
Yes. Yeah, but back to our... And that's an interesting thing about this, right? Because anytime a Haslab comes out and it's this kind of like off-the-wall character that we didn't have other toys from, you're going to want to get friends, right? You're going to set up your fire convoy and you're going to be like, where are his friends? Well, you're kind of not in the world's best luck right now, because most of his friends you're going to be waiting for, if they ever come.
We have Sideburn and we have Toadline right now.
Yep.
Skybite will be out in the next month or two.
Is that really a friend?
Sideburns. I mean, frenemy.
Fair.
Goofy villain. That's pretty easy to not take seriously and just have them on the same shelf, whatever.
I am shocked that no Mirage has ever been made into skids after, the first one.
Yeah, be nice.
There's been a lot of Mirage toys and 0 skids toys.
Yep.
It's weird. Skidsy. No, it's just skids.
No, it's skidsy. Such a silly name.
They say it. Fine.
They made localization made a lot of really silly names. The original names weren't kind of silly, but they were at least they weren't like X-Brawn,
Yeah, but his name is Wild Ride. That's like the Decepticon dude.
It's a cool name. Yelled it, he sounded all cool. He was like, Wild Rider. It was fun.
X-Brawn was great. That fun fact, that is not a trademark thing. That's just because they thought it sounded cool.
Is he straight edge?
Time of the X
games.
So yeah, just X-Brawn. Yeah.
With his giant forearm.
Yeah, his one giant forearm. That's right.
Yeah, that was to me something that was really interesting and unique about this line, was how much asymmetry we got. Sideburn, X-Brawn, Optimus, a lot of asymmetry that you don't usually find too much in these. Yeah. In a action figure line.
I think to me, the asymmetry always carried. I thought the asymmetry happened because they used transmetal villains. Because there was a lot of asymmetry in those guys.
Fair.
Right, like their faces were all asymmetrical.
Yeah.
So I thought that's why they went with asymmetrical designs for the Car Robot Brothers.
Maybe, yeah.
Because the Car Robot Brothers are blatantly asymmetrical. Yes, you just pointed out Superfire Convoy has his asymmetries about him as well, but the Car Robot
The
Brothers
brothers are war.
wildly asymmetrical.
Yeah. Prowl is the most symmetrical.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anna, I accept your theory.
If they, and I shouldn't say if, it's likely they will. They've hinted at making a new X-Brawn. Do you want him to be super asymmetrical with that crazy entire front, of a car as a forearm?
To be much closer to their designs than for Speedbreaker as Sideburn Speedbreaker.
God, yeah. If they would remake that one, that would be okay. Like
he's really not good.
He's not the worst thing in the world, but like not good.
No, he's just I don't know. He's kind of a tragedy because he also killed another really good character. Because Shadow Striker could have had a really cool toy. Because she's a really neat character, but it was like, no, we're gonna make her poorly in order to make Sideburn also poorly.
Yeah,
we'll compromise, guys.
They're not good.
I don't know what happened with that one. Like, I'd love to hear the story on why that came out to be where it's not a good toy of either of them.
I get that they can't do those 3 car modes exactly because that was a Dodge Viper. That was a Lamborghini.
They eventually did have to license that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like I get it, but it was so far off the mark that just felt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I honestly, I worry because all of my Car Robot stuff yellowed. Like all of it yellowed. It's all in terrible shape. I no longer have my brothers because they were so yellowed. I managed to sell them at a show of some sort. I still have JRX, super yellowed. I still have Superfire Convoy, super yellowed. I still have God Magnus, super yellowed. So everything yellowed. Rather just get the Car Robot Brothers, the original toys, and have those again, than get a Mock Alert and a Wild Rider to go with the Sideburn that we got, because I worry they're going to be just as bad. Right, I worry they're going to be just as poor updates as he was.
I think
it would be such a bummer.
I think the key is that they can't share. There's no one else they can share it with except their various repaints. Throw me the hoist repaint of X-Brawn. That sounds great. Or the Ratchet one, which was called Inferno. The other one was called.
They did a Wheeljack repaint for Super X-Brawn, right?
It's Wheeljack inspired, yeah.
Yeah, Wheeljack homage, yeah, not quite Wheeljack.
But you're right. That's actually a really good point because they could do the super modes for all 3.
Let's do the supers. I don't even want a super of that Sideburn.
No,
I kind of think new Sideburn is necessary.
But it's not going to happen, right? He got his toy. He got his moment. It's not going to happen.
I could see it like if they did a red version in a multi-pack, like a Target pack, they made Super Sideburn and like redid. So, I mean, you could not redo that much of the toy, but maybe just like the front end of the car. The front end of the car would help a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. The front of the car needed help. I think if you got the original Gigatron, it would be okay with these new toys. He's always been too small, right?
A little bit small.
And he'll still be too small because these are the same size as the originals, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll still be too small, but I think he'd look fine with them because he was also a really like modern feeling figure. Because he had a lot of articulation, and his transformations are stupid, but that's because they are stupid.
He was also very wide, which helped. Like his wingspan gave him a lot of presence.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
That actually makes me think, do I want to see that Megatron Gigatron as like the next Haslab to go along with this? And I kind of think not. I want a new version. Don't get me wrong there. But I don't think I need to fund it to come up with this. Sorry, I'm pointing at him. He's right here. Hello. To have this level of product. Because if they're just going to update the aesthetics and not going to change the engineering, it's going to be that toy, but 25 years newer, then I don't want to fund that again. I think I'd rather just come out as a new Titan maybe, or a Commander. That'd be fine. Yeah, I don't think that needs to be a Haslab.
So what I'm hearing in your voice then is, are you a little disappointed in these so that you have them in hand?
Yes and no. I like them. They're good toys. I don't think that they needed a Haslab spot to be this.
Okay.
So like I'm happy to have them, and their modern aesthetic update looks good with the rest of my collection, which you guys know is very important to me these days, that everything kind of fits together. And these do that. They're there, they look nice, and it's good. But they could have been Commanders.
Well,
they could have been Commanders.
I'm curious. I mean, I think you can say that a lot of the Haslabs just in general, right? I don't know. I mean, now that they're using Commander slots on the combiners, right, and they're probably going to continue with that. Like, I don't know that there's slots where something like this would come out in a reasonable time frame.
Well, that's probably true too.
Like, I think that's part of it is like, if you could schedule it to where the two parts come out within a year, then you're fine. But I don't know.
I think we're seeing, a piece of that with the Armada Optimus. And that's now 2 years old with no sign of Jetfire and Overload on the horizon.
That's true.
So would we be waiting, 3 or 4 years between this Optimus and this Magnus, or, not? I don't know. Maybe it's a timing thing.
I mean, I don't know. At the same time, too, I mean, the Haslabs that they've released, like, they've been pretty successful. Like, I mean, outside Unicron was the first one, and I mean, that was just kind of whatever. But for Transformers releases, all of them have been pretty hyped and have, funded pretty easily.
I really think this one could have skated through at retail because it has the name Optimus Prime.
Right.
Yeah.
And Ultra Magnus. I mean, he's at least a B tier character these days.
Right.
I think it would have been fine. Blue Bolts, probably not. But throw this in as a deluxe in a wave. People like the weaponizers. There you go. It's not a big deal, I don't think. The thing we lose is the Titan Master, and I honestly don't super care about him.
No, because the Titan Master should just be released
with Brave Max.
A new release of that figure. Yeah, make a Brave Max. Yeah. Brave Max would make more sense as a Haslab.
Well, right. I think that's an MTO kind of thing, but that's a different discussion. I don't know.
Going back to your Gigatron, point though, Christian, is that I kind of think about Gigatron and Magmatron in the same, in the same vein. They were the two, big villains, one after the other. A little bit similar head design, not exactly, obviously, but there's some similarities with the wings out of the head. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy the new engineering they did on the Commander Magmatron. And to me, to get a Gigatron that has like newer engineering like that, I'd be very excited to have that figure, to the point that I would be okay with not getting as many modes. And I think that's something that would be a bit of a divisive comment on Gigatron. Is like, I mean, I know you're shaking your head no, but it's one of those deals where it's like, okay, if you scale back on
bullshit
some
anyway. So
what's that?
All his modes were bullshit anyway. They just kind of rearranged the various pieces.
They were.
It's like, oh, it's a hand. Oh, it's a elephant. Yeah. Like, okay, fine. I didn't say I didn't want Gigatron. But Magmatron was not a Haslab. Magmatron was a Commander.
Right. And I think because we got a Commander Magmatron in the same year we got Commander Studio Series 86 Optimus, Did we get a combiner commander last year? No, we didn't. But we can get a couple commanders a year, so maybe we'll get one that is, again, something kind of new versus a combiner chest torso.
Yeah.
Yep. We haven't really been reviewing this figure at all.
I don't have enough to review it on right now, really. I just opened it earlier.
About like what there is about the figure. Like you have the little bit of chrome, the fire top of the fire truck lady, and then the missiles here no longer have their fun, but they do the same thing, right? That they used to. They still come out and point forward.
Do the missiles actually come out of the launchers? I didn't try that out.
They might come out, but they don't actually shoot.
They don't fire, yeah.
They don't come out in a way that wouldn't be breaking it, I don't think. I tugged on it and do not seem to come out. But no, they just sit there. So, it has
When
that
was the last time we
functionality.
got a spring-loaded, like, missile in a figure? Is it, like...
We went over this recently and we figured it out, but I can't remember.
Can't remember what the result was.
Yeah.
We had spring-loaded weapons for Transformers Prime.
Well, the throwing 30?
The flippy-floppity ones.
There was something.
Didn't
that was
Springer,
but that's
throwing
okay.
30 Springer, didn't he have?
Those are pressure launch, but Metroplex has spring launch.
Yeah.
And there's
I would say pressure launch versus spring launch. It's I'm not going to make a difference, but like a launching projectile.
Yeah.
Sandstorm was slightly newer than Springer.
Roadbuster had it.
Yeah, so like that era, I think is the last time that we had it that I can think of.
Skybite.
Yeah, same era though too.
Yeah.
They left out the electronics on these guys, right? There's no electronics I just haven't found yet.
Nope, no electronics.
No electronics.
But Fire Convoy still has that backpack for the electronics.
He does.
There it is.
Put some electronics in here.
But it's not as like this one goes down. You can see from the front here, like it hangs down like well below his crotch. Like that one at least like stops at his butt. This is just like, I don't know, like what even to compare this to. Like, Lucas, I don't think your scouts have like a backpack this big when they're going on big camping trips.
Right.
No, it's one of those points again where it's like you could re-engineer that as opposed to just making it again.
You could have re-engineered it. I think it would have been nice to re-engineer it where his shoulders fill out here, where like this folds out and fills out these shoulders, because he's a little flat from the side, right?
Yeah.
Like just a little bit flat in his. Like Phil said, this is probably the weakest part of the toy, the individual fire convoy. And yeah, he's a little flat. The original was flat too. But he was rounded, so it looked a little better. This one is flat square. So.
But this goes back to like what you were saying earlier, Anna, and I was like, stepped away at the moment. But the idea that like there seems to be things from what I'm seeing you holding that toy. It's like, well, we got to do it like the original. It's like, well, did you do that in the original because you actually liked that aesthetic, or you just kind of had to?
A lot of that. There's a lot of homage that didn't need to be homage, and I feel like they were willing to take an enormous departure with this, right? This is a huge departure. Yes. They made the stationary, annoying to store gun from the God Magnus into a character, right? It is now a person that can walk around and be a cool new character. Like that is a huge departure from the original. So they could have done some more departures that would have been improvements. And I also think it would have been cool to just include some like I don't know, things we're never gonna get from the series. Like we could have had Ty, right? We could have had
That'd have been great.
a little not weird PVC figure, since we have that weird bathing figure of her
One
that
weird
you can
one,
get.
yeah.
But a nice little PVC figure of her, just
She could even be
to
like
be with it.
holographic if you need to. Just something
Yeah.
that Prime holds in the hand. That's awesome. Do that.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been amazing.
Just a way
Some
to
O
have.
parts, maybe. What do those look like? Even no one knows. It doesn't matter. Put some bullshit in there.
Yeah, just a way to have some like homages. The sword is one of those things.
You got a big old sword. It's
That makes me nervous.
So
it's fine. It's fine.
It's
It's not a very secure connection. It's meant to go like this, and that's it. You're not really supposed to whack it around.
Yeah,
That's
so
big.
that
That's purple.
sword is ridiculous, right? Because it looks like a dagger on Christian, who is a normal-sized human.
It starts to glow when orcs are around.
It does have Cybertronian writing on it, which I don't know what it says, because it's in like really skinny script. Like they had a big thing and they're like, squish it down, and now it's there. So like,
Watch,
That's what
like,
it
oh,
matters.
those are the same markings as Jazz had.
How come they don't release this for
please
Fort
no.
Max?
They did.
Oh, did they?
In Japan,
Not
yeah.
with all the Fort Maxes, but the San Diego one had it, and then it was released separately in Asia, which I got. It's not this mold; it's a different mold, but
Right.
yeah,
Well, I got an aftermarket one. Like, I don't know, there was some upgrade kit that I got. And I forgot they did one in Asia.
that's what I have.
Okay.
Didn't they release that sword too with the 3-pack of Windblade and Nautica and RC from San Diego Comic Con?
No, it's a different sword.
Okay.
Good memory though.
I wish that 3-pack had Nautica in it.
Yes, RC Windblade.
Not Nautica, Chromia.
Yeah. I wish it was Nautica, though. It would be so nice if there were 2 Nautica figures if one wasn't bad.
Yeah. No, there's just one that's not good and very expensive.
Yep.
So
I let it go.
here's my question is, right? Okay, so considering that what?
It came apart a lot more than I thought it would.
Considering that I like, have no idea when I'm gonna get my figure, right? I felt like I ordered this figure because I kind of had FOMO, and I was like, well, I can just sell it if I decide I don't want it or whatever, right? So, getting this in hand, do you feel like that I should open this up and that I should own this figure myself, or do you think that I should just like leave it in the box and take it with me to TFCon in the fall?
There's no reason for you to have this.
Okay.
I kind of agree with that. You don't really seem to care about, because for you it's a new character, right?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. Like I don't have
characters.
nostalgia for this era, right? The same way that you guys do. So
You're gonna go and like get that nostalgia. You're gonna like go watch Car Robots or watch RID and like get invested in the characters and be like, okay, now I need these guys.
right.
You're probably not gonna get that much out of it.
They're good toys. I think you'd have fun with them. I think you'd have just as much fun with the original set.
Right.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, the original
enjoy
set,
the
though,
original.
to the point that we've made multiple times, is falling apart. But do you have any of the RID, toys, Lucas?
I do have a little bit that I like had picked up after the fact. I think from a random seller or whatever. Several years ago, but I mean, nothing to where I'm like, oh my God, like, I love this set. Like, I enjoy the ones that are repaints of G1 figures. I always thought those were fun, but
If
Yeah,
the
Ruination is
original-
neat, but like, I don't know. To me, the original molds that came from this line, you know, I just remembered seeing them on the internet, and that was when the internet was still relatively young, and it was just like, oh my god, these look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out they were being released here in the U.S., like I just remember being so excited for that.
Me too. We're about the same age, so I had that same level of enough access to the internet to get excited, not enough access to easily import them yet.
Yeah. I wasn't like Peter, where I was just like, oh, I found some, early, AOL board about Transformers and people sharing things. And
I had a friend who helped me import them, but I did not do it myself at first. I'm so excited for this line, like the original Car Robots. Like, I watched it without subtitles. Any Japanese, but I watched it without subtitles and I rewatched it with subtitles multiple times. I was so excited. Like, it was just so fun. It was over the top, silly anime Transformers.
I did not like it as a kid. I watched the first couple episodes, like, what the heck is this? Where are my Beast Wars friends? And then I watched it later when I was a teenager. I'm like, oh, I get it now. This is fun.
It's fun. Yeah, it's not actually particularly good. Like, it's not an amazing
silly
piece of, it's silly. But
there's some good character
silly,
moments. There's some good voice acting. There's some nice homages to other stuff in the dub, and it's worth a watch. I was kind of hoping that when they were doing this character that they would, get the rights back to the show and distribute it again. But nope.
I know, like, do something. I don't
think
know.
they have them now because they bought Saban.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know exactly how the rights worked when it was, Saban was owned by Disney and then not, and like, did they keep Transformers? Is Transformers part of the deal? Do they even know? But like, somehow I think they have to have it or have something they could release, and they just haven't.
I think that's been a miss with the Haslabs, because I feel like they should have done, like, put up Death Source and then start a stream on the Hasbro YouTube channel.
It's all Victory.
Victory just running forever.
Or do a dub of Victory
release
finally.
This,
that'd be nice.
and then do Car Robots RID, Car Robots RID for, the entire time the campaign was running. I just think those would have been cool tie-ins. And also it would have helped get more people like, Lucas and other people in our little group who have actually never watched Car Robots or RID. Right? Like, to actually go and watch it and realize that, it's not the best Transformers media that's ever existed, but it's still fun. It's enjoyable.
I don't know. I rewatched clips of it and it's like, oh, it's painful. And I do remember watching it, like, I was in college when it first came out and thought it was kind of painful then, and even more so now. Like, I have no patience for the cheap anime, like, animation gimmicks where it's like, we're just going to show someone standing here for like 3 seconds with the speed lines behind them, to invoke motion. I just see so much more. I see so how much more poor quality it was nowadays when I've seen clips of it versus when it was first on.
Western animation snob over here.
I mean, a little bit, and it's just like you have so much more of that anime style, where they're borrowing a lot from like Sentai and Power Rangers with this, where it's like the combined the combined animation stuff, and the transformation animation was so like, oh my god, like if you like edit some of that stuff out, what you're left with is like 7 minutes of actual things happening.
Stock footage.
Yeah.
And that is something that was, Japan took over the Transformers series. They started yelling transform to transform. They started saying their names more. They started zeroing in on a character and showing them transforming as a transformation sequence. It went very Kamen Rider very quickly. And that was normal for the Japanese series, but this was the first one to just get straight localized over. So since that happened, we hadn't had Beast Wars Neo and Beast Wars 2 and Victory and Super God Master Force to get used to that. So it probably was jarring. As someone who is, a complete like downloading anime episodes from the internet at 3 a.m. and watching them with breakfast, for me it was great. I was just like, oh my goodness, it's anime and Transformers. This is the best thing ever. But
yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I saw Headmasters, the Japanese Headmasters cartoon was like, oh, they're like powering up by swapping heads. Like that just like, nope, I'm not here for that.
You got to take a break so they can go head on.
Yeah.
And make sure that you can do that. They can't just transform. They got to head on.
Yeah.
So far, my impression of this is I'm enjoying it. I'm really upset about the QC thing. It has me fired up. That has to be a worry for me after Haslabbing a very expensive figure set. That's a bummer. But otherwise, I'm really enjoying playing with it. And it is like incredibly nostalgic for me because these were some of my favorite Transformers figures ever. And mine are unsalvageable, and these are in good shape. So far.
Most of that was inaudible, that last phrase.
Happy so far.
You're happy so far. Okay. It did again. Your AirPods are cutting out.
Oh, bummer. I can only use one at a time because my battery doesn't last very long.
Oh, boo. I think I feel mostly the same. I think I've been over my, not fitting in the Haslab mold kind of thing. But if, you get past that part, and the QC thing is troubling. I don't even know if that's a QC thing as much as that's a design flaw thing. Not good. Again, we're past the need for these kind of frictiony sliding joints. I don't know why they had to do it that way. Again, re-engineer it with modern engineering standards instead of just remaking it. They're good. I like them. I'm glad they're here, but a lot of caveats this time.
A lot of caveats this time, yeah. Yeah, not as thrilled as Death Source, not as disappointed as Saber. I'm in the middle of my two Haslab reactions so far.
Yeah, this is number 4, right?
Yes. Yeah, Unicron Haver.
That's right, that's me. So I think it's Deathsaurus, Unicron. These guys. Victor Saber.
Yeah, Deathsaurus is definitely the best one.
See, I don't know. I mean, I really liked Victor Saber. I don't know. I don't know why you guys hate him so much.
I don't.
Okay.
I just think the other 3 are better.
Yeah.
You want to throw in some retail stuff, you can see Victor Saber be on top of a lot of things. But of the 4 Haslabs, I think he is the lesser.
Yeah.
So do you think Omega Prime's sword is so gigantic to compensate for Star Saber having the little bitty sword?
Maybe. No, that's accurate.
I'm
Star Saber
kidding.
has the upgrade sword now, so it's better. But yeah, that was weird.
Well, I mean, I'm very much in the camp of like, no, I paid enough for this toy as it is. I'm not. There's something fundamentally like in my being that says I will not pay for an upgrade kit for a Haslab because I already paid so dang much for it as it is.
The wings are nice.
So do you?
It was bigger wings and it was bigger sword.
Do you wish Victory Saber would have been the price point of this toy and then would have been just slightly nicer?
Yeah.
I would go back and pay more for Victory Saber to fix the shoulders and other things. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think they were still. I think they were still shell shocked after Unicron almost didn't fund. And that was like kind of in the midst of COVID where people were like, like we didn't realize it at the time, like how flush people were with cash. But like now looking back, it's like, oh yeah, a lot of people were really flush with cash. I shouldn't say we didn't realize at the time. Like, I don't think like when people were planning, like as a company, you're planning on something, your sentiment is going to be like, man, people are out of work, unemployment's high. People might not have the excess cash for something like this. So we're going to make it a little lower price and cut some corners. And then in hindsight, it's like, no, people had like stupid amounts of money for collectibles at the time.
And a lot of sadness to try to get over. So making bad decisions was normal at the time.
Yeah. And encouraged.
Yeah, we were definitely encouraging each other for it. Like whenever you would talk to a friend and be like, should I make this bad purchasing decision? You would be like, after what we've been through, yes, absolutely. Do whatever makes you happy, dude.
Yeah.
We were all very encouraging of each other's bad decisions.
Yeah.
We still are in this community.
Still are. I think if you got these and you wanted them and you bought them, I think you will not be disappointed. If you want them now, don't overpay. And if you got them and you didn't want them, good luck selling them. Because I don't think we can say anything that will sway you.
I mean, this might well be one of those toys that, like, find a buddy who has it and see if you like messing with your friends. And if you do, keep yours. If you don't, sell it.
So you should go see Paul.
No, I mean, I want to open mine. I want to keep mine. I'm just nervous about the QC thing. It's like, it's weird because I have the Haslab Sentinel from Marvel Legends, and that supposedly had like ankle issues, and I never gave a hoot about that. I just opened it, posted it, haven't had any problems. I think with this one, because you're supposed to move it so much for its interactivity, that's got me more nervous for this than I have.
I think you can get past this one. You can probably operate a screwdriver better than me, so you can probably do what Christian did and get it together, or you can do like I did and be super careful wiggle waggling it once, just so you can have it in modes.
Part of me is like, all right, if they do some sort of fix, recall additional parts, I'm somewhat waiting for something more official to be announced from Hasbro if something does come down the pipe in regards to that.
I'm just not optimistic on it. I know they've done better with Haslabs. I know Haslabs have been more of a like, oh God, we got to fix this when things have gone wrong. I know how they've reacted to Haslabs, but I'll never forget Jackpot. Be able to get past that. He still has half a gosh darn head.
That one needed a recall.
Still monstrously deformed.
Well, like, at the very least, they're reissuing Nacelle right now because of the fungal mold that was in that package.
Yes.
Like, reissue Jackpot and fix the stupid head.
Yes.
It wouldn't be great because we have to pay for it again, but it would be something.
Yeah, that would be better than just leaving it the way it is. Be like, you have Jackpot
sorry.
in your collection, and his head looks stupid.
Oh, so we've got Ben's Collectibles in the chat. Says,
cool.
I never put the original Car Robots one down. They are the perfect desk bots to fiddle with. And to have the new one released with those issues, it takes away from the fun play side of the figure. Which, totally agree on that.
And I agree.
I don't want to agree with that, but it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I want to grading to do at the end of the semester, right? Like I'm still very busy right now, but I really do want to spend all day tomorrow just playing with these. Even if I didn't have the grading to do, I probably wouldn't, just because I'd be afraid of breaking Fire Convoy. Like, if I really sit down and mess with these as much as I wanted to, I'd probably break Fire Convoy.
And I mean, that's the thing that kind of sucks for me. Part of the reason why I ordered this, originally, is all you guys talked up the original Car Robots and how it was one of your favorite figures. And so I was like, hey, I've never really messed with these a lot. I'd love to go ahead and get the new figure and, be able to experience it. And so, that's the thing that's kind of annoying to hear you guys say this and you know, all the collectors community or whatever, they've had some of those issues, just
Yep.
because you know, hey, like seems like it was one of the premier Transformers toys.
It was.
And yeah, like, you know, we're getting the new updated version of that. So
I would be telling you to go and seek out the reissue if the reissue wasn't a mess, right? Because the reissue,
yeah,
of
no.
course,
Somehow
is
this toy is
infamously
cursed, right?
flawed.
This toy is cursed. The reissue is cursed too.
That when I was starting to see some of the stories about it having problems, I was like, oh, people are just thinking about the reissue. They're being way too sensitive about it. I'm going to get it. It's going to be fine. And I was really trying to convince myself of that, you know, and it was like, oh, no, it's not fine. It's got some serious problems.
Yeah, because we've seen hyperbole out of new Transformers releases. Like, oh, this one's got a problem. It's like one person has an issue with it, but they got an early version of it, and so that spreads around the internet like wildfire. This seems to be more actual. No, there's some problems here.
Yeah, that's why I haven't mentioned the yellowing. People have reported going out of box. I don't know. I haven't seen enough people talking about that I believe it's actually happening yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like, if it really is yellowing right away, that would suck. Because, you know, yellowing is why my original is no longer cool looking.
Well, I don't think any of the toys recently have yellowed, really. I know they had that issue a couple years ago, with a bunch of the figures, like, of a certain, like, era were yellowing, but that would be frustrating if it came back.
Yeah, Shatterglass Starscream kind of being the poster child for that.
Yeah.
With the Toy Colors Dinobot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has he yellowed really bad?
Yes. And Tigatron. Hasbro Tigatron.
Tigatron came pre-yellowed because he was Smoker Tigatron.
Well, and then his joints yellowed after that.
Oh, bummer.
So
I did see that one picture of one guy's that was yellowed right out of the box.
Yeah.
Of this, and I hope that's not common.
Yeah, me too. Because it would just be a huge bummer to me to, you know, unpack this after my next move and be like, oh God, it's yellowed, just like my other one.
Well, what causes yellowing?
Sunlight or oxidation.
Isn't heat a factor too?
Heat is also a factor.
Yeah, and so like mine was sitting on my front porch in the hottest day of the year so far we've had for like 10 hours yesterday.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not that hot out though.
Yeah, I mean it was 80 yesterday for us.
80, so hot.
80 in April is quite warm. Right, so shush.
Just every April, man.
In Chicago, not
Yeah,
North
not
Carolina.
Not my
it wasn't
climate.
in the teens yesterday. So
We have
hot.
a frost warning tonight.
Good for you, Anna.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks guys for going over at least what you know so far.
Yeah, first impressions.
Yeah, first
right?
impressions.
Because we don't have our.
So hopefully next week,
that's what I was
maybe if you do some more messing with them, we can get an update and see what you think.
Which one of us will break it in half first?
There you go. I really wish did we know, like, did Rob get it or anything? I just want to. So I figure he would somehow break his. I don't know why.
Wow, the poor opinion of our friend.
I don't know. I just he broke his MP44 on air. So
What is he? The number 4 most popular podcast member? Wow, Mr. Number 6 over there.
I know,
He's just sitting around right now talking about how
just
it's
bitter
not as
about the
cool
rankings.
right.
He's just sitting around talking about how it's not as cool as the third-party figure right now.
That is true.
He's just
That's
like, it's
probably
not a
what's happening.
masterpiece because it doesn't have 17 paint apps for square inch.
A lot of paint apps.
Christian, I think you're the Shadur Sanders of our cast in terms of where you thought you'd be at in terms of ranking and how far much lower you actually
I
sank.
did. I fell quite a few spots.
And see, this is why Phil is number one, because he can just seamlessly integrate sports metaphors into his Transformers podcast.
That's right.
Ah, that was sports. Okay, I was.
Yeah, you're like,
don't know
who
what
is
you
this
just...
Shadur Sanders you speak of?
No, I didn't even hear what he said correctly, and I was very confused. Everything was wrong, and
Got it.
the world was falling apart.
Got it.
Yeah,
So
it's all better now.
This is every day.
I know the world's still falling apart, Anna. It's just that analogy's done and over with.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to everyone in the chat, and we'll see everyone next week.
Bye.